Hello and good morning. Glad to have you with me today. Let's take a walk today. It's a lovely, lovely morning. What I mean by that is that it's warm. There's a good steady wind. In sailing terms, maybe 8 to 9 knots. Oh, up to 15. Be good traveling today on the boat. Anyways, but I'm stuck on land. Been doing a lot of thinking lately. I hope this wind doesn't pick up too much of my microphone because it is a windy day. But yes, I love it. You ever seen that movie Hero with Jet Li? There's a particular scene in that movie where he's in the little Asian village, not marooned, what is it? In exile, right? There's a particular thing I like it when they do in that scene is the villagers, every time it's windy, right, they stop their work and they close their eyes like this, just kind of bathe in the wind. It's amazing. It's fascinating. Gets you thinking how much we take for granted sometimes in the busyness of our economics and trying to keep up or stay ahead of the game in America. But today, I have some thoughts I like to think through, maybe process a smooch, and think about the places I've been, places I'd like to go. And although, my life is pretty decorated when it comes to places traveled, experiences encountered, there's always been a little part of me that's always longed for something more, something, I don't know, it's hard to describe, rich in experience, life-changing, maybe shifting would be a better term. But there's always something about the wind that makes me want to move, go different places, encounter new things. That would-be sailor that I've longed to be seems to really come out. During these type of moments. Where the clouds kind of run away from me and I seem to always not be chasing them. Even though I'd like to see where they eventually find their resting place. It's always a fun question to think about to yourself. What are those memorable, unforgettable moments in your life? Where were you? Who was with you? What did you do? What made it special? All of those wonderful questions. I think today during our walk I'm going to travel a little bit to my history, do a little nostalgia type thinking today. Maybe really play around with this idea of making the sailboat happen. For those of you that don't know, I'm on a mission, sort of a quest, in terms of my therapeutic practice, right? And what I mean by that is that my goal with therapy since about 2018, I would say, is to find a way to get clients, preferably families or private clients, on a sailboat and do therapy on a sailboat. More of like an experiential kind of practice. And the ideas related to that is that I would essentially have my clients simply sail the boat while I watch them kind of navigate, some of the riggings and everything that goes in to navigating a boat from point to point. And utilize those sessions to really kind of bring up special metaphors, observations, and those encounter points with those clients to maybe help them find a new direction or a new wind, metaphorically, in their life path, right? The ultimate family or fantasy would be to have a family, most likely a dysfunctional family on the sailboat. And I mean, the ideal client I think about is that strict father, that disengaged mother, the rebellious son and daughter, both with their different types of rebellion, one being extremely passive, aggressive, the other confrontational, very verbal. And to put that family of four on a boat and watch them try to navigate and utilize everything that has to go in, all the skills that has to go into managing or sailing a boat, point to point. And just be able to provide that therapeutic feedback. When it comes to my observations of what worked and what didn't work in their attempts to work with one another. And maybe helping them bridge and put the pieces together when it comes to that family unity and that family cohesion. So talked about quite a bit in the therapy books and articles that I've read about almost my entire professional life. Little side note, I can tell you right now that sun is hitting me perfectly on the kind of right side of my forehead, and it feels amazing. Not too hot, not too imposing, subtle, warm, but with the little coolness of the wind passing over, very pleasant, I would say. I would sum it up as pleasant. The type of sun that you close your eyes to and have a good memory against, if that makes sense. Maybe like a good childhood memory. Reminds me, that kicks off a good thought. A very positive representation, as you know I like to share. Reminds me of a time growing up where I was with my father, and a little backstory. My father used to be a professional golfer for a little stretch during my teen years, and he would always encourage me to go golfing with him. He really enjoyed it when I would, if I agreed to caddy with him in those few moments in my indifference towards the game. But even though I never really told him this secretly, I really enjoyed a lot of times walking the golf course. right? Those kind of nice, mild California afternoons, right in Bennett Valley, the public golf course out there, or even like the private club in Fountain Grove. I mean, just these beautiful courses, and just kind of walking those little landscapes with kind of typical weather like this: sunshine, good wind, comfortable temperature. And as a kid, I mean, making those kind of contact points, with my feelings and experience of really enjoying those lazy afternoons. Watching my dad try to master his swing and overcome his handicaps around putting. Don't tell him I said that. Anyways, that's a good thought. Very pleasant memory. Sense of freedom. Which, I mean, if I'm just following it, that thrive for freedom. When was the last time you really had that sense or achieved that experience of freedom? Maybe it was like a state of flow, or just like some type of clairvoyance, but just that inspiring shift where things made sense. Everything was in that click. Problems seemed to really dissolve for that afternoon, for that evening, whatever time it was. But just that pleasant episode. What do you remember about it? What was going on at that time? What's the story behind it? If you can remember, tell yourself about it. Give yourself a little permission to enjoy a little nostalgia. You have my permission. Enjoy it. Nostalgia can be a good thing. Not everything has to be bad from our past. But anyways, going back to my original thoughts. That positive representation around that sense of freedom. For me, I mean, it's very soothing. Soothing in the sense that you feel comfortable, like, with things and satisfied. That's an interesting term, satisfied. Not elated, not escalated, not abundant, just satisfied. Balance, a good tether of appreciation, anticipation, acknowledgement, apprehension, right? That fulcrum of being. I can't tell you how much I spend my time thinking about that term being. B-E-I-N-G. Carl Rogers, a historically famous psychiatrist, used to write about it all the time in his books. The state of being. How to be present, right? That moment to really absorb it and soak it all in. To be content, to be satisfied with what the world and your environment is offering to you. It gets you thinking. The question I'd like to pose to you during this walk is, how would you go about identifying that state of being? When you are being you, what are you doing? What goes into that? What's working to your advantage? What are things that you recognize about your resiliency in that moment to the natural sorrows in life? I'm not ignorant to think that even though I may be having a pleasurable experience right now, a state of satisfaction, that there are people currently living through a nightmare. Without a doubt, there's a teen somewhere, probably not too far from my neighborhood. Probably looking at his or her computer screen, just completely distracted to whatever it is that is going on and just wrestling with just the morsels of thought towards living. I mean, I hope they figure it out. But, in everything, to one's pleasure is to one's pain, I guess could be philosophically stated in that kind of context. The state of being. There's a part of me right now that tells me, like, shut up, be. That is being. Shut up, right? Enjoy it. Suck it in. Stop talking. Be. Stop talking about it. Be about it. Oh, man, I can't tell you how much I love that line. I love it because in which I learned it, or when I first heard it, was from a buddy of mine in the military. And he called me out, man. Just called me out. There I went, having all these ideas, sharing my fantasies, my aspirations, right? And just starting to develop that negative attitude because they weren't happening, and he knew it. It's just you weren't doing anything about it, bro, right? Just be about it. Stop talking about it. Be. Yeah, very powerful time. Very powerful message. Very thankful that whatever needed to happen in the universe to make me hear that message to be delivered through my friend was a blessing. Still learning how to implement and apply it into my life. Doing better, not the best. But I know when I really tap into that, because there have been times where I have just shut up and done it. And that feels good. And that's another great question I'd like to ask you in terms of self-reflection. When was the last time you just shut up and did it? Stop talking about it and be about it. Yeah, it's almost like there has to be a satisfying grunt after that. Be about it. Yeah, muddy jazz. Anyways, state of being. Good question. Journal about it. In case you're curious to that loud noise behind me. Just some construction guys being about their work. But very glad to share this morning with you on this beautiful, partly cloudy, very comfortable, inspiring wind day with a little bit of ambivalence sprinkled on top. Just kind of floating thoughts and ideas. The state of being. Maybe I'm just being who I can be against the wind. Bob Seger. Oh yeah, great song. But so good to see you. I want to wish you good mental health this week and stick around. Again, thank you for being a part of this app in my attempts to be a therapist. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. 6 seconds. I want full 20 minutes. 1, 2, 3. Conclusion. Yay. Bye-bye.